Well, nearly 40 years ago, a 20-year-old woman named Sharron Phillips vanished without a trace from West Brisbane.
The case captivated Queensland, but since 1986 it remains unsolved. Yesterday, new insight with a state coroner finding two people could have been involved in her disappearance. For more, we're joined by criminologist and former detective Dr Terry Goldsworthy. Terry, thanks so much for your time this morning. Now, there were some answers yesterday, but of course many questions remain. What were the most significant findings from the state coroner?
Yeah, good morning. So this was a reopening of a 1988 inquest that occurred yesterday, and what we saw, there were three main questions the coroner was seeking to answer. One was Sharron deceased? Two, how did she die? And three, was anyone else involved? We got an answer to the first question where he said that he did think she was now deceased, and that would be basically based on a lack of evidence of any activity or evidence of life. So there is now a formal finding in that regard. He said that she had died in suspicious circumstances, but was unable to say in what manner she deceased or in what way she was killed. So that's problematic, and in terms of who was involved, if anyone, he did make some findings in relation to some people who were nominated in regards to their credibility and reliability. And there have been a number of people who were suspects. We've had deathbed statements allegedly made and things like that. So it was quite complicated yesterday when the findings were made.
If I can, as far as I can remember some of the details of this case, going back to when I was a young fella, and how the police put it together and didn't really have that many suspects, and the mannequins on the side of the road. And I mean, it was really something that enthralled Queensland as well as disturbed. Just on that taxi driver, the main suspect in the case after his son claimed he made a deathbed confession, why was that ruled out?
Yeah, look, there were inconsistencies in the alleged confession made, and it was made to a man claiming to be his son who gave evidence at the coronial hearing, and the coroner found that he wasn't reliable in terms of the evidence and the information contained in that alleged confession. You know, there was mentions of a podcast that the son was running. The coroner seemed to think that some of the facts contained in the confession were there to support the podcast that was being done. So it is quite bizarre, and the problem with these kind of jobs is, as you said, it's 40 years old, and as they go on, evidence gets lost, it fades, memories fade, and landscapes change. In 2016, we had searches conducted. It was then bushland at the time of the disappearance, but was a built-up area by the time the police got there. So these things become more difficult as time goes on.
And that is the greatest challenge, because it's not for lack of resourcing and efforts by police, is it? I mean, we know that there have been numerous potential suspects, but they've been ruled out, and it still is unsolved. As you say, 40 years on, how likely are we to get an answer?
Yeah, look, it'll be a cold case. It'll still be held by the police as a cold case, even though there's been a finding as to death. The reason or cause of death is still unknown. And look, there's a $250,000 reward out for this matter, so that's still alive and still up there on the website of the Queensland Police. So they'll be looking at this. I mean, I think they've probably got some people who they think may have been involved, and they'll continue to search for evidence that may be able to allow them to charge those people. So I wouldn't be, if I was a suspect in this matter, I wouldn't be thinking just because the coroner's made a finding it's now finished. I suspect investigations will be ongoing.
All right, I mean, it still amazes me that we can have a case like this and not know anything more about it, and not have a suspect, and, not have resolution. It's incredible. Appreciate your time, mate. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Terry. Well,